Okay, gain seekers, here we are for another client cast, and as always, I'm terribly excited to get this one going. It's a journey I've had a lot of feedback on Niki's journey and the progress that she's made. And it's interesting because when we go through this is not a before and after. This is just one of the phases that we're going to be working through together. So I think it'd be great insight for you all watching. And also, there's a huge stigma around veganism, and can you actually build an athletic physique? Can you build an athletic body? The answer is a resounding yes, which we'll get into. So first of all, I just want to introduce you to this show, Niki. It's a pleasure to have you on. How's your day been? You had a good day?
Awesome day today. I've been excited since this morning about doing this. Well, we've been talking about it for ages, haven't we? So
Yes.
thanks for having me on your little podcast. It's very exciting.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. It really is. I've been looking forward to this so much. So, Niki, we'll start off by saying, if we go right back to the beginning, what, because you're not somebody who, this is, for people watching, this is not Niki's first rodeo. She's been training a long time now, right? She's worked with different coaches, right? What actually prompted you to get started on this journey? Like, what was the decision that you thought, do you know what? I want to reach out to Afs, I want to connect with him, and
Yeah.
then we'll go into your sort of goal. But what was the initial reason? What prompted you to
Right. So
reach out?
I was doing really well with the current coach I was with, and I had all the bases were met. But my own personal journey, I changed around Christmas and New Year. Lots of things were going on. I decided
Yeah,
I wanted to step up in my life in many different areas. And
yeah,
I also felt like I just needed a clean slate with my bodybuilding. And I'd been following your post for quite a while. And they were speaking to me on not just the diet, the training, but there was this like almost spiritual aspect and more like mindset aspect, which I was like, this is what I need. This speaks to
yeah,
me on that level because that's what I'm doing with my own clients, you see. So that's
yeah,
sort of feeding the soul, right? Finding that extra element on top of everything else for me was super, super important. And I was like, I've got to go and do this. I just got to do it. So, I wasn't sure if you were able to take people on because I knew you were really busy. But I was like, I had a break between, it was only a couple of weeks or whatever. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing on my own. And this is the time to like step up. So that's the reason why, really.
yeah. I really love that because that's what I'm all about. I always say to people that look, every coach has got their different coaching method. There's no right and there's no wrong. I
Yeah.
always think it's about what connects with you as a human being the most. And for me, the thing is that yes, diet and training and cardio supplementation, all these things are very important. There's no doubt about it. And it's actually what's going to get you the result. But for me, the way that I coach is kind of old school. Like if you look at a boxing coach or something, where I really get to understand the person and what's firing them up and connect with them and understanding. Because I've never understood how, look, I get it. Like if you, like, you can look at it in an aspect of, okay, this diet, this training plan, this cardio plan, this supplement plan is going to get a person from where they are now to where they want to get to. And there's no denying it if you look on a black and white level. But for me, that's not how you get the best out of a person. How you get the best out of a person is understanding the person that you're working with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Understanding, what triggers them in a positive way, understanding what hurdles and challenges that they've got in their own lives. And, being able to work with them, almost like a team rather
Yeah.
than a dictatorship. Because I do know that a lot of coaches, and I've worked with so many coaches myself, where it's just kind of like, there's your diet, there's your training, get on with it, right? Which I do get, because if you do it, it will work. But at the same time, when you've got somebody really invested in you as a human being, I just think the results are so much better, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's such a more fulfilling process for me as well, as well as the client. It's a fulfilling process. I want to know the person that I'm working with, and I want to
Yeah.
know that, you know what, I'm genuinely getting the best out of them. I hate it when I have a situation where it's just literally a check-in. That's the whole reason why I created Gain Seekers, was so that I got that fluidity of just working with me continuously, right? So I
Yeah.
could see it all happening real time. So couldn't agree with you more there. And if we go into your goal, because you didn't come to me. So Nikki's already has great shape. I mean, I'm sure you could tell just looking at her now, she's put a lot of work into this body, right? You can't not admire that. So your goal wasn't like, hey man, do you know what? I'm out of shape. I want to get into shape, or do you know what? I want to go to the gym. I want to build some shape. You really are in shape. So give people an insight into, like, when you first joined up with me, what is the big goal? Because a lot of people, they come to me, and if you imagine, Niki, it's more of a knee-jerk reaction. Shit, I'm unhealthy. I'm out of shape. I need to do something. You're not in that category. You're somebody who already came to me and you were clearly like, I'm not trying to get in shape. I've got a vision, right?
Yeah.
This is what I want to achieve. Talk people through your eyes, your mind, what your
Well,
goal is and where you're looking
yeah,
to take this to.
sure. Well, a little bit of a backstory first is I gave bodybuilding up about 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember exactly because it was more dwindling because my business needed my attention. At the
Yeah.
time, I was aiming for women's bodybuilding. That was what I wanted to do, and I never got on stage. So I would have had, I wasn't far off being ready, but there was some elements that weren't quite right, and also like in comparison to the person I am now, it was a different attitude. It would not have been what I really wanted for myself at the time. So it was very
Yeah.
cold turkey for me, but I felt like I was unfinished business. But I only started getting back into shape in March last year after
Right.
all of that. And I was in terrible shape in terms of mentally as well. And I was like, I need to do something. And then, the bodybuilder woke up straight away. As soon as I started training, I was like, oh, I love this. I forgot I love this. And then I'm the kind of person that's all in. And if I'm not all
Yeah.
in, then I half-ass it, and I'm not like that. So very quickly, I could see, the muscle memory starting to tweak, and my attitude, and just everything just fell into place. And I'm like, well, if the body is responding the way it is, and I've not like got anything in the way of me achieving it, then I want to get there again. But I was like, I just got to do the stages again. So I was like, maybe I should do wellness. And I'm like, I've got nothing to do with wellness. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I was like, well, oh no, I look like figure. So maybe I should do figure. And then I was like, I'm not a shoe person, then it's not for me. They look pretty, but I just don't feel free on stage. I love all of the routines and stuff. That's my thing, right? So I was like, what am I doing? Why am I even pretending I know where I want to go? So my aim, my goal, and where we're heading is with the big girls. So we're going to go back where I wanted to be, which is women bodybuilding, but we've got to see how long it takes, right? And I know that I don't want to get up there and not be in the best shape that we can create, right? So I'm not in a
Completely.
hurry. I did think about doing women's physique, but again, it's not what I want to do. It would be setting us back. We get these crazy ideas when you see people getting ready for shows, like maybe I should. But the fact is, I know where I want to be. I know what poses I love. I know what I do want to do, and that's what we're going to go for. So all in, as long as it takes to
I
get.
absolutely love that. I love it so much. And it's interesting that you said that you kind of were in a situation where you lost yourself a little bit. And I think that happens in business. I know that
Yeah,
has happened. It's happened to me quite a few times. It's very difficult because people don't realize if you've got a job, um, you can't, and as hard as you may work in a job, is in a business you're doing everything.
yeah,
So you're not just turning up to work. Like, you've got to make that business grow. You've got to make that business be relatable. You've got to stay on top of that business, like in terms of competitors, right? So you're pretty much, it's like a faulty towers job in a way. You're just running around doing everything,
hmm,
right? And in that sort of chaos, it's really easy to take a step back on your mental and physical health. And when you said in the beginning of that, where you were just like, when I got back into the gym and all that muscle memory started to come back, that fire just lit for me again. And I kind of remembered what it is I want to do and what I love doing. I bet just going through that alone, forget the transformations and everything that you've had and where we want to get to. I bet just even that, but I know that feeling, Niki. It's such a great feeling when just like I say to people, the gym is therapy. No matter whether you want to be a bodybuilder or you just want to look better, right?
hmm,
Getting physically active, getting on top of your health, right? Getting stronger, getting fitter, right? Having a routine, having a focus, eating a diet that is, designed to get a result. Like it provides so much more than just builds a body. It really, I feel it adds a brightness to your day.
Mhm.
You
I mean,
know?
we all know that we do release feel good chemicals when you move your body, right? It's no joke like that. But it's also, for me, it's a little bit more because it is a form of activism for me being a vegan,
Yeah.
because that's such a massive misconception about what you can achieve on a plant-based diet. So
Huge.
that fuels me as well, because people are a bit blown away when they realize that I haven't eaten meat for 7 years, right? I
Yeah.
don't. So that is fun in its own way.
I
Um,
bet.
and I just that's what keeps me going, because there's not many that do it, females, at the level where I want to go. And I just want to do it because it's fun, but also just to show that it can be done, right? So there's a couple of angles that's spurring me on, that are making it fun, not just because not just for personal reasons, but like a little bit bigger. It's cool, really fun.
I love that because yeah, that's the thing. When you set a goal even bigger outside of you, bigger than yourself, right? So
Yeah,
you're not just in this because hey, look, this is something that I'm passionate about. I want to, scale the heights of bodybuilding here and see how far I can take it. It's also you want to break the ceiling and break the limit of what people perceive vegan athletes can achieve, right? And that's how you get trendsetters. That's the truth. It's like I always say to people that you have these frameworks in every sort of era and civilization that ever existed. You have this
yeah,
sort of framework and this sort of like limit of what people can and can't do. And somebody always comes along, breaks that limit, breaks that stereotype, breaks that stigma, and then people's conscious awareness lifts and they realize, oh, as a human being, we're capable of more. I just think
yeah,
a lot of the time we don't dare to be more, do more. So I love that you've not only got your own personal sort of stake invested into this journey, you've also got the fact of being a vegan athlete, right? To basically shatter the disillusion that you can't do this sort of thing. So I can
yeah,
imagine that people, I know when I make posts about you, right, and people realize you're not just somebody who, because there are some like I don't mean to be negative, but there are some frauds out there. They've been like eating a meat diet to like
yeah.
3 weeks ago. Now they're vegan bodybuilders. Do you know what I
I know,
mean?
I know.
Whereas
I
you've
think,
been doing this.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. It's fine. I'll add to it in a minute.
Yeah, so when you've been doing it for so many years, and then I say to people, yeah, absolutely. I can't even tell you the amount of women and men that have reached out to me and be like, mate, is that real? Like, are you serious? Like, that's on a proper vegan diet. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm saying like, no, this is not like she joined up with me and I put her on a vegan diet. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
somebody who's been vegan, believes in it, and has been doing this for many years.
yeah.
So yeah,
It's
talk a bit about that really. It's
yeah.
a bit that makes you feel good.
It's cool, but what I really found fun as well, when you first sent the first plan over, it was just like, like, you could tell you dealt with vegans before, because you're like, if I give you what you if I say what you're going to have protein wise, you're going to come back to me and you're going to say, I can't eat this because of this, and I can't eat it. I'm just going to let you choose yourself. And I thought,
Yeah,
brilliant, because you trusted me, because that I knew what I was doing, right?
yeah,
To get the sources that I knew were going to be the right macros, whatever, and that worked for me, because it's clear it works. So that was just brilliant. I was like, it made me laugh, because it's like, God, it's so easy. And I just stick to the same thing. I pretty much eat the same every day because I like it, and it works, right? I don't need so much
yeah.
fancy stuff. But that was really funny. But yeah, there's so many bad versions of vegans as well for me. You get the really, like, the yogurt weaving, skinny yoga.
Yeah,
Like, I don't appeal to them, and they don't appeal to me. I love them for what they do and what they represent for the people that it works for. As I did a post today about it, and we're going to appeal to different people. You can't please
for sure.
everyone and be vanilla. It's not how it works, right? So, but yeah, this genuine. I don't eat meat. I don't want to. I eat a lot of fake meat. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. Beans and rice doesn't interest me whatsoever. I've tried living on tofu. I come out of my ears. So I'm down with the mock meats. That's what I do. and it works. But I want to just see how far I can take it. You know,
I want
and
to see
with
how far you can take it as well. I really can't wait. And so, like this first, so when you came to me, Nikki was one of these people who, when she came to me, and I always get excited when I have somebody message me like this with a clear goal, like you guys have heard. You know, she wants to do the bodybuilding. So our goal, really, for those who don't understand what this is all about. So even though you look at Nikki now, and obviously she's in fantastic shape, and she does carry a lot of muscle already, the goal is to add more muscle. And what I really, really liked about Nikki was that when she came to me, as you heard earlier, she didn't put, you see what it is, I do get it, right? I get that people want to come to me and they want to be like, okay, I need to be in shape in 15 weeks or 20 weeks or 30 weeks. I get that, right? So I don't kick back. I'm like, okay, we can do a lot. You can make a transformation in that time. But when we talk about competing at the highest level, like people, I don't think people realize how long it takes to build quality muscle, not just get a little bit fuller and a little bit rounder, where you've actually developed new tissue, a new level of strength, new level of development, right? That takes time. And I loved it because I thought straight away that here I've got somebody that not only is bringing to me a fantastic canvas to work with, right? Already had lots of work put into yourself, right? Already, you know, obviously a disciplined, dedicated person, right? I've also got somebody here who has a long-term vision. You know, I have people come to me all the time and they want to compete. And I'm like, I turn them away because I'm like, I don't feel comfortable just dieting you for 50 to 20 weeks. Like, let's go for a proper off season. Let's identify how you are as a person, because then I can learn how hard you can be pushed, right? And then let's go into a prep. But with you, it's a total role reversal. And I really like that because, like I say to you guys, these client classes that we do, and not just to give you an insight into Nikki's journey, is to give you guys a realistic idea that we're sitting here. Nikki's in fantastic shape. To be fair with you, if we dropped a bit more body fat, she could be competitive now very easily. But she wants to go in and she wants to go into the class that she wants to go into, which is bodybuilding, which means that as for the requirement of that, we need more muscle tissue. And she's not said, oh, I've got to compete by this time. It's been like, okay, we're going to do this phase by phase, take it step by step, and however long it takes is what it's going to take. Because, like I say to people, you've got to be realistical. Are you going to build a new set of arms in 10 workouts? No. You need a good 30 to 40 workouts. So I love that about you because you've come in and you know exactly where you want to get to, but you're not trying to rush the process. And
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I've only competed the once, but I wasn't even ready myself. I got encouraged by the coach at the time. I knew I had a terrible balance. I had a massive upper body and literally no legs whatsoever. And it was only really after I competed that I then learned how to train my legs, because, you know, and I still think they need more work, but it's, I'm happy to wait. Do you know what I mean? And luckily I did win the show, which I was happy about, but it took me years to get to that point. And now it's been an extra, God knows how many years. So yeah, I'm not in a rush. I know when I'm going to be ready. I think we'll work that out together. But I want to be like, I want to look ready when I'm up there, you know? I want to blow people away. And yeah, I'm excited though. It's going to be wicked.
It is. And you're right. Like, I think it's to do with the social media of today, is massively responsible for this. I think bodybuilding competing has become more of a fashion statement for a lot of people. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
it's so cool to do. And I do get it because it looks amazing and you see like the preps and all this sort of stuff. But I always tell people that, listen, you know, you want to put yourself onto stage when you've got a fighting chance. Don't
Yeah.
just compete for the sake of it. Otherwise, you'll develop a toxic relationship with it. You know, to
Yeah.
put the time in to build your body up. Because what I will normally do is if I've got guys that want to compete or girls that want to compete, we normally kind of do what you said, Nikki. But even then, I think it defeats the object. You know, when you work through the classes, so you've got some competitive experience, you know
Yeah.
what's involved. But I just think if you know in your heart where you want to get to
Yeah.
and the level that you want to be at and the class that you want to compete in, then spend the time developing that physique,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Put the
good.
time in.
Yeah.
Don't make it a difficult, toxic process by tying yourself down to a deadline. Just have fun with it and enjoy it and put your all into it. And then before you know it, you'll be time to step up on stage. Like personally for me, like I think we're going to be able to accomplish a lot just this off season alone. And then, like you
Yeah,
said, that we'll review it when we get to the end of it, and then make a decision on what we want to do there. So let's go into the actual diet that you've done with me. So obviously, Nikki joined up with me. The first thing we decided to do when I looked at you, and I do this for nearly everyone that I'm working with, if we're going to go for this sort of journey, is the first thing I want to do is I want to strip you down. Like I want to get you leaner. I want to get the body fat down because it allows me to see how a person's body responds. You
yeah.
also really get to see what a person is when they're on a diet,
I
right?
knew
So
it
you
was
get
a
to bust
test,
out.
man.
I'm not trying to look for flaws, but I'm trying to understand the person I'm working with. And you
Oh,
take
yeah.
away a person's food and you start ramping up their activity, you soon get to see who the hard workers are, right? Who the disciplined ones are, who the driven ones are. And then it's not about like, how can I, does this make sense? Then when, let's say you've got a client that starts to break under that sort of routine, it's not that they're like, oh, you're no good. It's just a case of, then I know as a coach, I need to work a lot more on this person's mindset,
Yeah.
right? I'm gonna have to
Mhm.
spend a lot more time on that. If I've got somebody like yourself who just smashes through, is hungry for more, right? Ironically, even though you're hungry for more gains, then it's like, okay, I can just now focus on pushing you as hard as possible, right?
Yeah.
Get that result. So I guess the first question that people will be wanting to know on this, what are your typical day-to-day protein sources?
Right. I'm very, very basic, right?
Yeah,
I don't need a lot of frills. I don't cook like fancy stuff. I'm very happy with my potatoes or my piece of bread, my vegan chicken, which has had pretty much the same macros as chicken.
right.
Um, it's super low in carbs, low in fat, but it's got like the protein. It looks like chicken. It's super easy to work with. Some spinach or something green, and I use those skinny sauces just to like make it a bit more interesting. That's pretty much it, apart from the oats, the peanut butter, and the protein powder, which everyone else uses. I just use a vegan one. And
Yeah.
there's different kinds. You get gainer, or you get, the normal one, which has low carbs as well. So that's pretty much it. There's not much fancier than that. I got a couple of snacks, obviously. I have a cheat meal whenever it's okay. Um, that's it. It's really basic. I'm really happy to, for anyone who watches this, if they're not sure, they can DM me. I'm happy to like give them some ideas. If they're not in the UK, I've got friends in America. I can link them to. It's a lot easier than people make out. And the protein debate is unbelievable that it's still going on, but it is still relevant, and people are indoctrinated by how they are brought up. And it's like when you tell people that they don't need to eat animal protein, they get very upset because they've been taught this from their mother, and that way they're taking it almost like a criticism on their mother, and it's not about that. It's just that was how it was, but these are the alternatives. And it's very much about being gentle around that discussion so that you don't upset people, because it's not a criticism at them, because we all have backgrounds and we all have stories and we all have beliefs and expectations of what's right and what's wrong. But I'm a living example that it can be done. And there are many, many, many good examples out there of other people doing different types of athleticism, or even just being a normal person that, might have kids, not sure about fussy foods. So there's loads of available resources out there and information, but I'm always, DM, feel free to ask me questions about it, right? It's not a problem. So I love talking about it. I like taking people shopping and showing them even what shelf it's on in the supermarket, because
Oh,
we're so
wow.
used to going, we know where everything is, and it can get overwhelming to have to start from like, what do I do? Even though it's only one thing, it's only the meat that you need to take out. They start thinking, oh, everything must be vegan, but they don't realize that, everything else pretty much is, right? It's like
Exactly
this.
that.
Yeah. And people go, oh, I don't like vegan food. And you're like, well, this whole term about veganism is because it's been tainted to something negative rather than it just being, a non-animal product. So
Yes.
there's a lot of misinformation, and it's about being kind to people and not being irritating. There are lots of irritating vegans out there, that mean well, but they're just so militant that people just go, ugh, not interested,
I
So
completely agree with you. I mean, I've always
Yeah.
said to people, you cannot, if you passionately believe in something with all your heart and soul, right? Whatever it is in life, whatever you believe in that you're very passionate about, this is a great way to live your life. This is the right path to take. You can't dictate that
No.
onto other people. You
No.
can inspire them
Yeah, yeah,
to follow
exactly.
that path,
Yeah.
and that is the truth. Like, and
Hmm.
that's really again another thing that I love about you. And I think people watching this will be so shocked because you're right. Like, I have people say to me, vegans approach me like, "Do you gonna have an issue working with me because I'm vegan?" And
Yeah.
in my head, I'm thinking, no, because it's just really when you break it down, it's just protein, carbs, and fats.
Yeah.
That's really
It's
what
really
I'm
not that
interested in.
hard.
Like,
Yeah, I know.
it doesn't matter to me whether you're vegan, vegetarian, whatever you want to do,
Yeah.
right? Whether
Mhm.
I do diets of all kinds of nature, you know, from
Yeah.
intermittent fasting to bloody ketogenic to carb cycling to calorie to macro based. For me, it's like, well, one, I'm never going to tell anyone that because they're following a certain diet method that they can't make progress. You've got to be consistent with your diet. And
Yeah.
two, I think, yes, like you said, years and years and years ago, when veganism started to go into the mainstream, it seemed a really over sort of whelming diet. But now it's just like you get your vegan protein sources in every, and the reason why I bring this up, guys, vegan protein sources, is because like Niki said, like whether you know this or you don't know this, outside of animals, pretty much everything else is vegan. Like fruit is vegan,
Yeah.
potatoes are vegan,
Yeah, I
rice
know.
is vegan,
I know.
oats are vegan, right? So it's only the protein that you will ever get any sort of dilemma on. And the biggest dilemma you get with that is it's not that it's a dilemma, it's just that some, and I'll say this is bad advertisement, some things that are vegan, that are promoted as high protein, also carry a lot of carbs and fats with them. So you
Yeah.
just got to be wary of that.
Yeah.
But like Niki said, that through protein powders and through the replica meat, it's almost identical anyway to
Yeah.
if you were eating meat. You're getting the same macronutrient breakdown,
Hmm.
right? And it's going to have the same effect in your body in terms of the nutrition that you need. So she's lacking nothing. Like, people seem to think that if you're on a vegan diet, that basically your only option is salad.
I
That's really
know.
not the case.
I know. It's funny, but it's amazing. This conversation comes up so much, and then you do get people go, "Oh, but that's processed." It's like, oh, it's not really that healthy, really, to eat, meat. If you think about it, there's lots of things bad there, and no one eats just whole foods unless they want really sad people. It's just not
Yeah.
possible in the Western world, and it's as we are at the moment,
Yeah.
or cultured.
And also, this might be surprising for people to hear because, look, we can have a great conversation backwards and forward, respect each other's beliefs, right? Because obviously I'm not vegan,
No,
right? But
no,
I actually agree. I actually agree with you
yeah,
completely. I tell people all the time that, and we won't go too deep into this because then we could spend 3 hours talking about
I
this.
know.
But I say to people all the time that the meat that you're getting in a supermarket, I honestly wouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
These are animals that have had no life. They've just
Mm,
been produced
yeah,
to be mass slaughtered, right?
yeah,
They're living in squander. They're living under drug regimes. They're living
yeah,
in fear. I
yeah,
can't see how having an animal like that's going to benefit you,
yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
I think a lot of people would be in a better position from a digestive standpoint of view, from a health standpoint of view, by at least trying alternatives,
Hmm.
right? So I definitely agree with you on that. And I think also that for people watching this, it's not as hard as what you think. Your diet, it's not like now you have to have a completely different diet,
No,
right?
no, it's
All your supporting foods won't change. Like,
no,
for instance, let's say Niki in her morning, most clients, for the sake of time and ease, right, will have protein powder with oats. It's a famous bodybuilding recipe. It gets the food in, it's got your protein, your carbs, your fats there, right? And it's quick and it's easy to go. Not everyone has the time to sit down and make a massive breakfast, right?
yeah, yeah,
Mickey's no different. She just has a vegan protein powder. When you guys would have chicken and rice or chicken and a pita bread or whatever, she's no different. She's just having it the vegan version, which they've
yeah,
actually refined now so well that, like you say, you're not sitting there and you're consuming unnecessary calories. It literally is just all protein.
yeah. It works. It works a treat, totally. But going
Brilliant
back
stuff.
to when I started working with you, I was not expecting to go into a cut. I'm not gonna lie.
Really.
I was like, You're joking, man.
So what this
And
guy saying? I want to
because
put
I
some
was so
muscle on.
happy that you took me on, I was like, I am not gonna rock the boat, man. I'm not even gonna pretend that I'm disappointed. I'm like, okay. But I was
Let's
not
do this.
expecting that. So yeah, because I was happy being a bit, I was happy in my little fluffy cocoon there, growing under it. But now I look back, and actually today was interesting on Facebook a year ago, and I can see,
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about doing women's physique, so I just started going back into that mindset. And I was heavy. I was heavier than I am now, but it was a bit Teletubby like, and it's so interesting to see. But yeah, I was like, no, no, I'm doing a cut. I can't believe it. But yeah, so that was funny. And then we continued, and then I was like, right, this is not going to stop anytime soon. So I might as well get in there and get my head right screwed on properly. But it was a crazy like start of the year for me, because so much happened around Christmas time with my business, and then I was moving. Do you remember I was getting this new house, and there's paperwork was going on mental, and I was like, the last 5 months until we then start reversing me, has been the hardest of my life, but the most rewarding, the
I
most
love
like amazing. I've been in the best shape ever. Like I didn't even get any leg cuts like that when I did my show, right? Um, just if I look at pictures from that cringy show, I will bring them up one day. But yeah, so it's been amazing, and I can really see what you needed to see
I
for
love
us to
that.
continue. Yeah. So it makes total sense. But at the time, I was like, what have I done? What am I
Yeah, I
signing up
bet you were thinking, oh my God, what's this guy? This guy is militant. He's getting me on a cut.
for?
But yeah, the thing is that when you first joined up, because you came to me with that big goal, and
Yeah.
I sat down and I thought, okay, this is where Niki is now, and this
Mhm.
is where she wants to get to, right? And then what I do in my brain, and I do this with everything that I do in life, is if I know where I want to go with a client or with myself personally or whatever, logically I reverse engineer it,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So what are the steps to get there? And the
Mhm.
first thing is that you never know a person's body. And we'll bring up some pictures in a second so people can see. But you never, if we're talking, so for people watching this, if you're talking specifically competitive, right? So you want to present your physique on stage, right?
Mhm.
Then for me, the first thing is to do is let me bring that person down close to stage sort of shape, right? Or let's say a good photo shoot shape, so I can see exactly what we're working with. Because what a lot of you guys won't realize, and if you're not being through this, this will be a great learning thing for you, is that when a person's holding body fat, it actually really obscures what their physique really is.
Yeah.
So you don't actually know how good the person's shape is. You don't know how good a person's density is. You don't know how good a person flows. And I'll give you an example for this, because Niki just brought this up right now, and it's so true. Is that as she got leaner, I started to realize, even though when we first started, and like Niki said, is that her legs are a weak point in comparison to the upper body, right? This is the key thing to realize. But as we stripped her down, those legs and those body parts start to come to life once you start to get the cuts coming through. And then you start to get a completely different visual. So
Yeah.
I'm so happy. And I didn't know, for people watching this, she's got an amazing poker because I didn't know that she didn't want to cut. Right. So I was just finding this out for the first time. And it makes me so happy because you said, like, hey, look, this was the hardest 5 months of my life, pretty much, because I got multiple things going on, got multiple plates spinning. I'm moving, I'm doing business, and I'm doing a cut. And guys, honestly, watch this. Because Niki is a competitor level, there's no gentleness with me when it comes to the cutting, because I just see it as an athlete that's got a job to do. So I'm not really going to be like, let me break her in softly, let me get her used to a routine. It's just straight in, let's make results. And you say coming out that you feel the most fulfilled. And it's weird because just before we got on this podcast, I was talking to a guy right now who's a client of mine, and he's at that tail end of that diet, right? Where every day is difficult. You're not sleeping right, everything's pissing you off, right? You've got no energy. You're just trying to find out ways to get through your day. And I said to him, I promise you, if you keep pushing through this, you will look back and you'll feel so fulfilled, because I always think that real empowerment, real growth comes from conquering the things that you perceive to be the hardest and most difficult. Like, you look at what you've gone through these past 5 months, basically from the start of the year. Every hurdle, every challenge that you've had to overcome, whilst navigating a very like intense diet, whilst trying to lose body fat every single week, right? Whilst being held accountable. It's not like you can take a week off. I'm there waiting for a check-in. And you come out the other side. Yes, it's a lot of work. Yes, it's a lot of effort. Yes, it's a lot of undertaking, but it's a great feeling, isn't it? It's a great
Yeah.
feeling coming out the other side of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's been so much fun seeing people support me as well on the journey. You know, I had that drama with the Instagram having to start all over again, you know.
Yeah.
My old account, that was nonsense, but so quick. So
You can
quickly
see
I've been
here.
able so quickly I've been able to bring on board those who care, and those who care are really supportive, and now it's just going to be fun because they've seen the potential, and now we roll with it for a year or how long it's going to take.
For sure. And I mean, when I'm looking at these pictures, I mean, how does you, when you look at these pictures, what do they do for you? Because when I look at them, I just see just such a brilliant, I think we've done an amazing job here. Like, we've maintained every ounce of muscle. We've brought in the definition fantastic. You don't look tired. Your body doesn't look worn. It has a better pop to it, better
Yeah.
shape, better structure to it. I mean, how does that
I
make
mean,
you feel looking back and just seeing this work?
well, I already know that I'm better than that already now. So
You do.
that, yeah, so we've moved past that now. We're on to, onto bigger and better things. But I mean, it's cool. But for me, it's like that's done. I don't rest on
Yeah.
laurels. I achieved it. We've done it. I enjoy it. I'm grateful for it. And that's just my mentality. It's like I'm on to the next thing, right?
It's a championship mentality in all walks of life. I want people to realize this. So you all this is, so like, you see that transformation, and for a lot of people, and I know this because when I post transformations, obviously I get responses, I get people feeding back to me, oh man, that's just an amazing transformation. I'm like, it's not even a transformation.
No.
It's just one step forward. All that is for you is another step. You do this first phase with me, which for people watching this, it's not like Niki's been on a 10-week diet with me, right? She's been dieting since the start of this year, pretty much. And we've only switched, like, just recently going into this lean gain bulk phase.
Yeah.
So she'd be dieting for a good amount of time. But once it's done and dusted, it's like your brain's already focused. It's not
Yeah.
that you're not, because I always say to people, the difference between somebody who's successful in life and somebody, let's say, who's not, and success can be measured by so many different things, right? But I've noticed a common mentality amongst what I would call championship mindsets, and it's they're content, but they're never complacent.
Yeah.
You know,
That's exactly
so you can
sums it
look
up.
back at your fat loss journey, and you could be like, man, I've done great, but your brain's already thinking, and I know this because I've been in this stage myself for so many different things in my life, where you're just thinking, okay, now what's the next goal? What's the
Yeah.
next mountain to climb?
Yeah. Well, and I didn't even see that as the goal. That was just a stepping stone. We know what the goal is, right? And I know all the bits that we need to do. So it's just a step towards it. But I'm not trying to be a smart ass or anything like that, but I'm just so focused on what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
That, it's going to be the next one will be cool. The next comparison. But yeah, it's cool. I'm just enjoying the whole thing. But it's a lot more easy to enjoy the whole thing once you back in some more food, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
So
100%.
I'm loving life right now. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, your body's utilizing that food so beautifully, which we'll actually go into in a second.
Yeah,
And the thing is like, that mentality you have is just it. I can't tell you from a coaching perspective how great it is to work with somebody who does have that mentality, where it is just like stepping stones for you, right? And it's almost like You know, Bruce Lee, he said this thing, and when I was a kid, I could never understand. I never understood it until I became a man and I started to achieve things in my own life. And he said, you've got to just be like water,
Yeah.
just got to flow. And that's
Hmm.
exactly how you are. Because what I've noticed is that even though you've done already so amazing and you're in great shape, it's kind of like, does this make sense? You don't attach your identity to anything, right? It's just like that is a phase that you've done. Like you guys even heard straight from Niki herself. That was even for her transformation. That was like, okay, what do I need to do, coach? Okay, we need to get lean first. I will get lean, right?
Hmm.
What's next to do? Now to gain the muscle and to get stronger, to get bigger, right? And it's straight into that phase. There's no sort of holding back. There's no sort of I need 3 weeks downtime, right? It was just literally the next day. Let's get into that. And already,
Yeah.
like looking at your hair, your shape, and everything has got so much more pop to it. So you're bulking now for quite a decent amount of time. How are you finding that transition? Do you have any problem with that transition? Because some people do. They get so
I
worried about
I
losing their
mean,
definition.
we're doing it very different to what I've done before because
Yeah,
with one of my first ever coach, it was straight in at the deep end.
yeah,
Um, and so I blew up very quickly because my body was really, waiting for it. But then I just overspilled, I'd say. And then,
yeah.
yeah, so this is the first time we've used that window that everyone talks about, right? And it's been interesting. It's You do get attached a little bit to the. If we'd gone a bit faster with it, I probably wouldn't. But because I've been like looking fairly lean for such a long time now, I'm like, do I want to go get bigger? But at the same time, I know we're gonna have to. I know we're gonna have to. And then once I'm in that, then I'm all I'm all in. Because I'm actually used to just being in the growth phase more than anything. That's what I've been in the longest in my bodybuilding journey, I guess. So, and I like eating. I've got no problem eating a lot. I really love my food, and I love training hard, and I love seeing my strength go up. That's exciting for me. It spurs me on. So my I really enjoying this next bit. It's going to be wicked for me, honestly. I'm excited. I'm more excited about that than I was doing the cut for sure.
Yeah, and it's so true. You've got to get immersed mentally. I have both men and women that struggle with this, right? And I do get it. I do get it because obviously I've been through the same thing myself. Although if I'm telling you the truth, I was more like you. I was never really into being ripped. To be fair with you, which I'll go into in a second. But where Niki talks about like so many, and I do get it because you've put all this work in, you've got into great shape, you look a certain way. It's very pleasing on the eyes when you take pictures and everything because all the lines are showing, which makes you look even more shape than you even are, right? Because that's the whole point of it. Is they always say bodybuilding is a bit of an illusion because it correct all those separation, that shape gets all highlighted. You've got shadows cast everywhere, so the body looks so impressive. And then the minute that you start to get a bit soft, to get a bit, get a bit of body fat on you, that starts to diminish. And because we live in such a visual era where people have got to be posting pictures all the time, they've got to, and they're under this delusion that people are in shape all the time, right? Especially when it comes to competitive endeavors, which is not the case, right? You want to stay there. But the unfortunate thing about this, and it's what I tell every client, because I don't like to lie to anyone, is that if you say to me, like if you said to me today, Afsa, I fucking love how I look, and I want to stay here, then I'd be like, Niki, we'll stay here, right? But for where you want to get to, there's
Mhm.
no way we're going to be able to do that without going through a gaining phase, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I like the fact that I could see already in you, and already the conversations that we've had, but people can see clearly watching this that you've got that smile on your face and you're excited and like turned on for the off season for the right reasons. I always tell both, like I say, it doesn't matter. I get this from both males and females. It's indiscriminate, right? I always tell them that look, if you really want to make great success during your bulk, right? You've got to get where when you were on a cutting phase and you would strip down every week and you're looking at your physique, new lines, new veins, all this sort of stuff. You have to shift a mentality. And when I would go in the off season, when I say I didn't give a fuck about how I looked, I don't mean that I was just going to get fucking big and fat, right? What I meant was is that I knew that this is now I'm in the lab creating muscle, right? And
Yeah,
my main thing is now I'm not looking to take a picture in 3 weeks' time when my Christmas tree is shown, or 5 weeks' time my intercostals are showing. My goal is now to become a strong motherfucker, right? My goal now is to improve on my list. My goal now is to do the shit that I couldn't do during a
yeah,
cut when I was just trying to get through my workouts.
yeah.
I bet that's where you are right now, right?
Yeah, it's I can't wait. I've got some numbers that I need to achieve for myself.
Yeah.
Not the numbers that I left behind those years ago, right?
Yes.
I'm actually quite close to being the same strength, but at a lower body weight, which is incredible. So pound for pound, I'm stronger now already.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
so and it's a different mind I've got on me because I was also training to escape back then,
Yeah.
where now I'm training to celebrate. Right? It's an addition. It's something I love. Um, yeah, it's like a different person, but I have all of that knowledge and experience to bring with this new attitude. So it's an amazing combination. I feel like awesome. So I'm excited. I just love like seeing the difference in what we're doing. I'm excited to be doing the reveal after a month of covering up, even though I've done a few things in the story, but I haven't done like a physique reveal since the 1st of June, I think it was, or July. So in August we'll do, and we'll see if there's a difference. There should be some. Um, and I want to keep it real as well because I do
Yeah.
believe in not so much the body positivity because it's different kind of body. It's not a normal body, I've got, but the stages are interesting, I think, because sometimes people only show when they're looking their best,
No,
or they,
you're absolutely right.
So I
You
think it'd be
are.
cool to keep going and keep people to see what's going to happen and take them with me on my little journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I,
exciting.
I think being transparent like that is exactly what people need, because what it is that people, like you say, and it's shocking to believe, but then I remember, then I think to myself, I know the things that I do because I know old school bodybuilding, and I know how it was in the 1990s and 2000s before the internet really became huge,
Hmm.
and it was just a thing to do. Like you just bulked up. That was what we did, right? We weren't taking a million pictures. And I think now people who look inside and will see a physique like yours, they don't realize that you don't just go to the gym and lift some weights and just eat this diet and you've just got this body. Like there's multiple layers of processes and phases that you've gone through to get there. I mean, even now, the phase that we're in together, for people watching who want to know. So Niki, imagine Niki's come out of a fat loss phase, right? And like she said, I utilize, because when you come out of a fat loss phase, especially one like where Nikki's done, where she's lost a significant amount of body fat and got very lean, your body's actually in what we call a really anabolic position. So what that means is that because your body's been depleted for so long, right? It's not just a case of starving yourself. Like you've been training hard, right? You've been doing your cardio. Your body's very insulin sensitive, right? So it's able to utilize those nutrients in a way that most people's body would never utilize it, because you falsely create that environment, right? Typically, what a lot of people do, and people watching this who've been through this process will know exactly what I'm talking about, because it happens to so many bodybuilders, happened to me plenty of times, happened to my brothers, even happened to people that I've coached, got them to a cut and they've kind of not continued, right? Is that you can easily, rapidly gain 20 to 30 pounds, right? Just overeating. So you have to realize that even though the goal has shifted now. It's like, okay, we've come out of a cut phase. Now the goal is to get muscle on Niki, to get her stronger, to build up a new shape, right? Everything is just as monitored. It doesn't mean it's a free for all, just eat what you want, right? It's like we're structuring everything. So Nikki still checks in with me multiple times during the week. I'm looking at her physique, judging what I'm seeing, knowing if we should put more food in, should we pull food out, is the cardio okay where it is our training volume okay, right? And just every step of the way, making sure there's quality there. And I think already, like Nikki said, it makes me really proud, because I want to get the best results possible for clients, is that she can already see the difference in how this sort of bulk. Because when we use the word bulk, people automatically assume just get big and fat. That's really not what I'm about, right? It's doing it in a structured way. And even now, I think it must be exciting for you, because when I went through a bulk like you have, where I first done that with a coach, I was like, fuck, man, I'm actually getting better. Like, it was like, does this make sense? It was like, and I can see this just on you looking at you now, Nikki. It was like, yes, I was getting a bit softer, but the muscles themselves were getting bigger
Yeah.
rather than me just getting bigger. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Just like an overall mass.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's quite obvious. I
Yeah.
didn't train chest because of my operation, and suddenly I was starting. You can see it. It's awesome. I love it. It's so good. Can't
It
wait.
is. It is. It's a great phase. And
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to get this insight for you guys with Nikki, because see how she's done after this first cut phase, how it's been for her, where she is right now. And then we'll do another one towards the end of the bulk. And obviously, I will share pictures. Like Nikki said, do a bit for reveal in August, do a little bit of reveal a bit more down the line, right? Take you through all the different stages. So what you'll see initially is Nikki coming out a good few months after being on the cut, where she'll still be in what I would consider to be very relatively good shape, right? But with that extra muscle, the exciting thing is, and this is the most exciting thing ever, is that I always knew it was going to be a great phase ahead when I already was the strongest I'd been lean. Then you're starting. It's almost like you're getting a springboard, because if you're starting, like you said, now this is like kind of the strongest pound for pound that you've been, right? Then you can only get like so excited to think about, well, once I start to get that extra leverage in my body from a bit more body fat, right, from carrying more muscle tissue, from having myself in a surplus for a good amount of time, like we should reach new levels of strength completely altogether across the board. And it's going to be so interesting to see the way that your shape plays out on that, because you actually have such a good frame and such good symmetry and such good flow that you have a unique advantage where I don't really think we need to do a big gross off season, because I think just the right muscle in the right places will pay massive dividends for your actual look. So again, we're not doing it blindly. It's not just, hey, Nikki, lift as heavy weight as you can in the gym, right? We're actually focusing on certain body parts, training, right, with certain intensity techniques, and making sure that as we're going along, we're seeing the results that we want to see.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
It's going to be damn well good. So I think kind of like this brings us to the conclusion of this first one that we're going to do together.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's been an incredible journey. I love working with you. You're an energy, and also what it is that you have a very consciously aware mind. Even little things that you say that you might not even realize, like where you said that, hey, look, I'm in this body, which which is kind of like the same body you've been in your whole life, right? But my mind is different. And that is so true, because do you know what the sad thing in life is? Is how many people will go through things in their life and they don't learn from it. And they stay in that. They stay in
Mm-hmm.
that narrative. They
Mm-hmm.
stay with that anchor. Whereas now, like you said, I'm not going to the gym to escape my day. I'm going to the gym because I genuinely enjoy it. It's a celebration of my
Yeah.
day. I think
Yeah.
that's a beautiful statement.
Thank you. But it's the truth. It's such a different vibe. It's creating rather than running away, right? Different.
It is. And the greatest secret of all is, as human beings, we are creators. That's why
Yeah.
I can't understand why people don't realize we're the only species who have the ability to do it. Like
Yeah.
we can have a thought in our head and manifest it into reality. And the human being is, I think, the greatest gift and the greatest curse for a human being is this: you're capable of literally everything, but a lot of people do nothing because they think too much.
Yeah. Too much in their own head.
Yeah. And it's just like when you get after that goal and you put everything into it, like what you're doing now, it becomes an adventure. It really, really does. Like, I'm just as excited, right, to see where this takes us. So, I mean, we'll close this up, but before I go, is there any like thing that you want to tell people out there who are potentially maybe thinking about a coaching plan, or even thinking about making a change to becoming vegan, or even thinking about taking on their own transformation, right? what would be Niki's tips and advice?
I truly believe that we are infinite. We have infinite opportunity. I think people just sometimes need permission because their surroundings might be keeping them stuck in that sort of, this is what the family does, this is how we do it. And sometimes you just need that out, this influence from the outside who says, you know what, you're allowed. You're allowed to be free and do what you want. Then people are like, really? It's like, yes, you can. And it's sometimes just that one thing that you got that support from someone who just says, I've been where you were and look at me now and you can do it too. And it's just like, wow, it can really catapult people. And I think if that could be me or you, that's because they're watching for a reason, right? If this could be the sign that what you need. So reach out, feel free to contact us and let's go.
Absolutely, 100%. Couldn't agree more with you. I always say to people when they contact me that you're never going to hear from me ever that you can't do something. But at the same breath, you're never going to hear me tell you that you don't have to put work in. That's the whole fulfillment of it all, is working towards a goal, earning it, right?
Yeah.
You learn so much about yourself in the process. You learn so much about life in that process. So it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Shape, just looking, I got to say to you, I want to get a bicep shot, to be honest with you. Just look incredible. Look at that. Still got all your separation there, still got your peaks there. It's looking good. And yeah, it's just been a pleasure doing this with you. I'm excited. I'm excited for you checking just on Saturday, right? And I'm excited to see the journey ahead. And let's get on that gain train now and take you to a new level of development and muscle size.
Let's do it. Thank you for having me on. It's been awesome. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, Niki. Take care, and I'll catch up with you on Saturday.
See you soon.
See ya.